It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
This week on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, we are checking in one last time with our seasonal sponsor, Tom Burlingame with XL Fishing Charters, who has had a great season catching blackmouth fishing near CQ. In other news, we went to the Monroe Sportsman Show this weekend, and even though it was relatively small and the crowds were not huge, it was still a bunch of fun and promises to be a great event next year. If you're wondering what we're going to bring you at the end of the show, well, I'll tell you this. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife has given us a really good idea of what seasons are going to look like this summer and fall in the Sound for all the species of salmon, so you'll want to stick around for that. But before we get into salmon seasons and our last update with Tom Burlingame, let's tell you what's hot in the Pacific Northwest. And I can tell you trout fishing is going to be really hot at a whole bunch of lakes next Saturday, the 22nd, because that is the Lowland Lake opener here in Washington. And yes, you're right, it's coming about a week earlier than you're used to. Some 12 to 16 million trout are being planted for this opener, and watch for the tagged fish. There's 1,000 of them. You better hang on to it if you do. Don't be like my friend who caught one of these tagged fish out of Wapato Lake in central Washington last year, filleted it, and threw the rest of the fish back, tag included, into the lake before she called and asked me about it. You see, those fish are tagged as part of the state's second annual Derby that runs through October 31st. Each one of those tags is worth a prize. It could be sporting goods, fishing tackle, or gift certificates, often redeemable at a local store or business in the area where you catch that fish. So, you'll want to contact the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife and validate that tag before you leave the area so you can enjoy your winnings. Simply Google WDFW Fishing Derby for more information about how this derby works and how to claim your prize when you catch one of these fish. In other fishing news, you're running out of time if you want to fish for Olympic Peninsula steelhead. In fact, the season closes at the end of today on the Hoh River, but it remains open until the 30th on the Quileute, Bogachiel, Kalawa, Solduck, and Dickey rivers, and this is typically the month you're going to find some very, very big native steelhead to catch and release from these streams. On the bass fishing front, I saw several reports last week from Long Lake in Kitsap County where plastics or jigs were the ticket for largemouth bass. Most anglers averaged 3 different bass during their outings. And a kayak angler on that same site reported hammering the rainbow trout fishing Cranberry Lake in Island County, even though he went there looking for brown trout instead of stalker rainbows. Oh well, I don't think he was complaining too much about his day on the water. Speaking of NorthwestFishingReports.com, they are having their annual gathering and barbecue at Lake Chelan State Park on Saturday the 29th. Everyone who's a member is invited. And by the way, it's really easy to join if you're not. And this event is free for members to attend. Plan on fishing for kokanee in the morning and getting together at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a fish fry, product demo, giveaways, and even live country music. Find out more at NorthwestFishingReports.com. And that's what's hot this week in the Pacific Northwest.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and XL Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Need a place to stay? XL Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the inn at Nia Bay. Find out more about fishing with XL Fishing Charters at xlfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Welcome aboard. We start off the show welcoming some new listeners this week, tuning in out of Oregon's capital city of Salem on KPJC AM 1220. Thanks for being here. We are glad to have listeners stretching all the way from Eugene through Salem and up to the Portland-Hillsboro area. Great to have all of you on the show this week. On the news front, wolves continue to expand their foothold into the western states. Both Oregon and Washington saw significant population increases over the last couple of years, and there is now a 7-member wolf pack in Northern California named the Shasta Pack. Now, we have news from the Nevada Department of Fish and Wildlife that the first verified wolf sighting since 1922 has occurred in the Silver State, though officials caution the sighting of the lone wolf and collection of wolf scat from this animal in northwest Nevada does not signify the establishment of the animals in this state, at least not yet. This week on the show, we're going to start off with some exciting stuff. We're talking with Bob Lee. He's a retired game warden out of the state of Florida. He's also a 2-time book author, and his newest book is called Bad Guys, Bullets, and Boat Chases. It's brand new. And speaking of boat chases, we're going to ask Bob about the craziest boat chase he's ever been involved with. And I'll tell you what, it is a doozy. It is one heck of a story. You are so going to want to hear this one. After we talk to Bob about his book and this crazy boat chase, we're going to head all the way across the country and up north to Alaska. That's where Rob Ensley, who is the co-host of a popular outdoors radio show in Seattle and the full-time owner of Prince of Wales Sport Fishing, will tell you about what you can expect while fishing with his crew near Craig in southeast Alaska for salmon, for halibut, and for bottomfish. Rob will share his thoughts on how the salmon season is shaping up for the summer, and oh yes, he has a last-minute opening in June. Very rare indeed, and after you hear what Rob has to say about his trips, you'll be on the phone begging for a chance to go with them. From Alaska, we'll turn around and head south again, this time to beautiful Lake Tahoe, bordering California and Nevada. It turns out that this is more than just a pretty place to boat or soak your toes or gamble. There is some very good fishing to be found here. Captain Zach Gordon with Tahoe Sport Fishing will tell you more about that. We've got outdoors news for you from the FLW Yeti College Bass Fishing Tournament Circuit. A big tournament took place last weekend on Kentucky Lake, bordering the states of Kentucky and Tennessee, and we'll tell you what university team came out on top. It being spring, the reptiles are getting active, or at least basking in the glow of the morning sun. That's why we thought it would be a good time to share some tips so you or your dog don't end up getting snake bit the next time you venture afield or out on the trail. We'll wind things up chatting with Clint Carey. He's with Hughes Craft. They're based in Colville, Washington. They've been putting together aluminum fishing boats in this small town for nearly 70 years. Clint will tell you about their new 24-foot Ocean Pro and about improvements they've been making on several of their boat models after getting feedback from the dealers that sell their boats and the customers who buy them. That's right, a company that actually listens to the consumer. Great stuff. But before we talk new boats and new innovations, let's talk to Bob Lee. Next on America Outdoors Radio, we're taking you to the Sunshine State. That's where you're going to find Bob Lee. He's a retired Florida game warden. He's also the author of a brand new book. It's called Bad Guys, Bullets, and Boat Chases, True Stories of a Florida Game Warden. Bob, thrilled to have you here, especially on short notice.
And thank you so much for having me on.
You know, the exciting thing about your job, and folks, for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a retired police officer. I worked for a city of about, 35,000 people or so, and I got to do some fun stuff, but I didn't get to do all the crazy fun stuff that you did as a game warden. Number one, I never had a boat. Number two, I never got to deal with alligators and and some of the other crazier wildlife you got to deal with. And I guess I'll just ask you, I've been involved with some vehicle pursuits before, but I sure as heck have never been involved in a boat pursuit in the Florida Everglades. What's the craziest boat chase you ever took part in?
Well, I spent 13 years as a river patrol officer on the St. Johns River, and I began in 1977. And so I had many boat chases with outlaw commercial fishermen, but probably the craziest one occurred in the Ocklawaha River, which would be like just a creek flowing through a jungle and make a perfect backdrop for a Tarzan movie. And so I get in behind this guy. He's been thieving crab traps, which is a felony here in Florida. And I'm chasing him, and I'm driving a Blazer boat with a 150, and he's got a little 14-foot wooden skiff with about an 85 horsepower engine. And so I'm proceeding up the creek, and it's no problem for me to stay with him, and everything's just going ducky until he heads right into the shore. He's heading right into what looks like a wall of cypress. And as he gets closer, I can just see a very small creek, the opening beginning to open up, and he goes into this creek, just a little tiny stream that's maybe twice his boat width, and barely big enough for me to fit my boat into, and we proceed to take the chase down this creek. Now, there's fallen trees, there's stumps, roots, there's overhanging branches, and it's getting pretty tight for me. He goes over a kind of a semi-submerged cypress tree without a whole lot of problem. I hit it, and immediately I can feel my engine shuddering. And what had happened, I broke off a prop blade from the propeller. So we go around the corner, and he throws out something that was white. I don't know what it was at the time. And then we keep going, and I see 3 cypress trees that are falling into the creek at about a 25-degree angle. And the root ball, right at the root ball, is submerged. And so he turns his boat up on the side and wheels right around these trees. Well, I can't do that. Because my boat's too wide, and I just can't. I know I can't make that maneuver. So I elected to attempt to run the boat up on top of these 3 cypress trees, flip it up on its side, and hopefully just kind of ring them. Well, that didn't work out too good because my boat ended up getting stuck on top of these cypress trees. I'm 6 feet out of the water with the prop still spinning, and he goes on down the creek. And so I shut the engine off, and I take my ball cap off. There's all sorts of spiders on me. And so I proceed to crawl up these cypress trees that have been overturned about 15 feet above the swamp, and I look down the creek, and there he is. He's been stopped by this massive log jam. He can't go any farther. And so as I'm watching him, he's throwing all sorts of stuff out of the boat. And so I throw out a stream of blue-black expletives and advise him who I am, that he's not to go anywhere, and that I would shoot him if he did, which of course I wouldn't, but it's a bluff.
He didn't know.
So he elects to stay there. He can only come back by me to get out. Anyway, I climbed down out of the tree and dropped into the muck filled with poison ivy, crawled my way over to him, and basically ended up capturing him up. And he had been stealing crab traps, but the white object I throw out, he'd actually stuck a black bass.
Oh.
Because I went down and retrieved it. But I get in his boat, and I kind of commandeer it. I had him take me back to my boat that's stuck in the tree. I can't get my boat out of the tree.
Oh, no.
So I tell the guy, I said, "You're under arrest. I'm not putting you in cuffs now because I need your help in getting me out of this tree, And he starts complaining, and his wife is there, and he calls her his old lady. He tells her to shut up, and she says, "No, you just need to go ahead and help him. You've created enough problems for one day." Anyway, he gets up in the tree, and together we push my boat back down to the water, and then I proceed to properly arrest him and tow him on into shore. So that's probably one of the craziest occurrences I had. And it turns out he also had a stolen outboard motor on the boat. And I'm compressing what is really a very long story, but that's probably one of my craziest incidents.
All right. Well, that is an awesome story. And folks, if you want to hear more stories, buy Bob's book. It's Bad Guys, Bullets, and Boat Chases, True Stories of a Florida Game Warden. You can find it, of course, at Amazon.com, at bookstores throughout the great state of Florida, or you can go online and even get an autographed copy. The website is bobhlee.com. That's bobhlee.com. Bob, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
It started in 1971 with the adjustable fishing float. Since then, Double X Tackle has grown into one of the premier American manufacturers of fishing tackle. The core values of the family-owned company have never changed. Make the best fishing tackle possible at the best price and make it in the United States. Available at quality tackle dealers or online at doublextackle.com, where X marks the spot for quality and X marks the spot for value. doublextackle.com.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. They'll have you back to port by 5 p.m. on their 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are coming, and this summer is looking strong, so book now by calling Captain Carey at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market, and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Hey, everybody, school together for a fish perspective, huh? Hey, where are y'all going?
Dad, we're not moving, you are!
Fred, come back here this second!
Dad, you're in a rip current! Swim parallel to the shore!
A rip what?
Rip currents can appear anywhere along the Oregon coast. Remember to swim parallel to the shoreline and then back to shore. Fred was lucky. Alex knew what to do. Be aware of rip currents. Make sure your good times on the Oregon coast stay good times. Respect the beach.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Alaska Sporting Journal. It is the monthly publication that covers not only fishing and hunting in the state of Alaska, but all sorts of adventure activities as well. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of Alaska, we're talking with Rob Ensley. He is the owner of Prince of Wales Sport Fishing, headquartered out of Craig, Alaska. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, John. How you doing this morning, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. You know, it's always great to have another radio pro on the air with me. And folks, if you're not aware, Rob Ensley is the co-host of The Outdoor Line, and I'll admit it, we are in the Seattle market, but his is the most popular and most listened to show in the Seattle area. You can hear it from 6 to 8 a.m. on ESPN 710 out of Seattle, and you could hear it from 8 to 9, but you can't because you have to change the channel and turn to my show at Fox Sports 1380 KRKO at that point. Rob, it's always great to talk to you. You're getting ready to head up north to Craig, Alaska for another season of fishing. Tell our listeners what you offer up there.
Oh, yeah, no problem, John. Yeah, I do the radio deal in the wintertime, and I appreciate the kind words, too, by the way. Everything was true except for the pro part. I don't know about that, but appreciate the kind words, though. Yeah, do the radio thing in the wintertime, and then come late May, we head for Craig, Alaska on Prince Wales Island. We get going up there in early June. Been running saltwater charters there. I think this will be our 17th season there in Southeast Alaska, and it's just a great saltwater fishing destination. We're right on the Salmon Highway. We get all those passers-by headed south, and pretty good fishery. That's how we ended up there to begin with. We got big fish, good numbers, great place to be for the summertime. So that's what I do in the summertime. I'm just kind of getting ramped up. The work's already begun. So there's kind of a Cliff Notes version of what we do in the summertime.
Well, it sounds fantastic. And Rob, I'm going to ask you here, you know, when you started, it was just you and your boat, but you've got like a fleet of boats at this point, don't you?
Yeah, we got 4 or 5 boats running now, and got a lot of big groups coming in. We got, groups of 12 to as big as 20 coming in from all over the country, and it's got a pretty good fleet of boats. The main thing with myself and all the rest of the captains I work with is we just try to show everybody a good time. No pressure. You know, if folks are getting seasick, the nice thing about Craig, we got islands to go hide behind, so we try not to get people seasick. But yeah, it's turned into a fairly good-sized business there.
So when folks stay with you up there in Craig, I know they're fishing with you on the boats. And folks, the great thing about fishing with Rob up there is it's not just you're going for salmon. You get to catch multiple species every day. I mean, do you start off with your salmon and then do you go with your halibut and then maybe the yellow eye after that? Is that how it usually goes on a typical day?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And for me personally, kings are kind of always my priority anyways. It's kind of the ongoing joke up there. You won't find me too far from a kelp line most of the summer. But, yeah, we start with kings, silvers, whatever in the morning. As soon as we get those, get our fish in the boat, then we head off to the halibut grounds. And as soon as we get halibut done, if we're lucky enough to get both of those, then we just keep going. We go get our lings and yellow eye and sea bass. And we kind of try to limit the sea bass thing a little bit. We don't get them every day. But if folks are there on a 3-day, 4-night trip, we'll do it 1-2 days of their trip. And throw in some nice sea bass into their boxes. And you know how good those things eat. I mean, they're fantastic. As far as just a mixed bag fishery, we kind of got it all. And the nice thing about Craig, too, is we get some of those big kings, man. I mean, 40, 50, 60. There's been some fish in the low 70s caught out of there. I mean, there's a shot at a trophy-class king any day you're out there. And that's what makes it really fun, is anytime you drop your hanger over the side or whatever, you never know what's going to climb on. So it's a blast in that regard.
Oh, it sounds like an absolute blast. And folks, usually this time of year, Rob is completely full up, but I understand you had a last-minute cancellation for a couple dates in June. Tell our listeners about that.
We did, yeah. We just had 2 seats open up June 11th to the 15th. On one of the boats there, a 20-foot North River, 2200s. That's a 3-day, 4-night package, and it goes for $2,400 plus tax. And that's lodging, fishing, fish processing, flights to and from Ketchikan, back and forth to the island. We pick you up at the airport, and then we have continental breakfast on the boats and lunch on the boats, of course. When you're fishing, you're just kind of on your own. Your dinners and any gratuities for the captains and crew, whatnot, while you're there. And it's a great time to be there, man. A great time for kings. That mid-June time frame for kings is kind of a can't-miss time. So,
question for you: when it comes to accommodations, are guests on their own, or are you putting them up somewhere?
No, we put them up in Ruth Ann's Hotel, and that's included in the package as well. Right across the street from the dock. Great little hotel in downtown Craig. Walking distance to the dock, just about a block away, and it's kind of all right there. Usually, our departure time is about 6, and we're back to the dock 4:30 or so in the afternoon, and put in a full day pretty much every day.
Sounds like a great day to me. Let's talk about the forecast this year. I mean, we've been hearing a lot about the forecast further south in Puget Sound and off the Washington-Oregon coast. I haven't heard too much of what it's going to look like up there near Craig, Alaska. How are things looking for the salmon?
The forecast is down for kings, but you got to remember the last 3-4 years, basically the whole West Coast has been carried by those insane Columbia River runs that have been north of 1 million fish the last few years. And Columbia River's, I think, about half of that this year. But the crazy thing is, John, is I've seen these forecasts that are, unbelievable forecasts, and the fish don't show up. And I've seen low forecasts, and the fish come in just wads. So anymore, we kind of don't really concern ourselves a whole lot with the forecast. We just go fishing, and it's all good. And nice thing is we're on the highway. All those fish swing right in off the coast there in Craig. And even if the stuff is down, say down in Columbia River or something, we've got all those northern BC stocks that carry us. The hatcheries out on the west side of Vancouver Island have been just pumping the hatchery fish in for the last 4 or 5 years to the tune of about 30 million Chinook the last few years out of those hatcheries. So I really think we're going to get a lot of those Canadian fish this year coming through our waters. It's going to kind of carry us. So we're not too concerned about that abundance index. It kind of, that's going to tell us what our limits are going to be. It's going to be 1 king per day. But beyond that, I mean, we should see some really good fishing this summer for kings.
And what about the silvers?
Silvers, we've got a huge pink run coming in this year. They're talking about 40 million pinks, give or take, coming into Alaska. And usually when we get those numbers of pinks coming through, we get big silver runs as well. But it's a little harder for them to track the silver forecast there in Southeast, because there's not as many silver hatcheries, obviously, that they can kind of monitor. One thing that we have going on in our area, we have one of the biggest silver hatcheries in the entire state of Alaska there on the Kloak River. They dump 4 to 5 million silvers into that river system every year, and really helps out our silver fisheries. So we can have some tremendous silver fishing from mid-July on through the end of August, all the way into early September. So we should see some great silver fishing this summer.
Well, folks, it sounds like lots of reasons to book a trip to Craig, Alaska, and go fishing this summer. If you want to find out more about going fishing with Rob Ensley and his crew, just go to his website. It's princeofwalessportfishing.com. That's princeofwalessportfishing.com. He's also got a toll-free number. That's 1-888-943-4746. That's 888-943-4746. Or again, princeofwalessportfishing.com. Rob, always a pleasure to talk to you, and good luck to you this summer up there in Alaska.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'll keep in touch with you over the summer, and I appreciate having me on the show, and get yourself a great weekend.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
Homer Ocean Charters, offering premium halibut and salmon fishing since 1979 in Homer, Alaska. We also offer kayaking, hiking, remote cabin rentals, and water taxi service to all destinations in Kachemak Bay State Park. Call 907-235-6212 for reservations. That's 907-235-6212. Again, that's 907-235-6212 for Homer Ocean Charters.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Well, we're checking in one more time with Tom Burlingame with XL Fishing Charters. He has been a great sponsor of our show for the last couple of months, but his fishing is changing. But before we go, we want to tell you about some new opportunities for lingcod that's opening up this weekend, April 15th. Tell our listeners exactly where you're going to be fishing and how you expect it to go.
We will be fishing mainly in the ocean, but the Strait, for the folks that have smaller boats that want to come up to Ania Bay, the Strait is a wonderful opportunity. I did a trip yesterday for just black rockfish, and we caught over 20 lingcod fishing for rockfish, and some of them were dandies right there in front of Wada Island. So anywhere in the Strait and around the corner in Macaw Bay and in the ocean is great.
What is the size limit for lingcod and the possession limit?
The size limit is 22 inches in the Strait. If you're fishing in the Strait, they have to be 22 inches long. If you're in the ocean, this year they have removed the size limit, so there is no size limit. Let your conscience be your guide there.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that at another time because that's a whole other issue there. Is there a maximum size limit on lingcod?
Not in Area 4, there is not. And one thing I did want to mention, John, is that the season actually starts on April 16th, not the 15th, but the 16th.
Oh, thank you for that, and a lot of our listeners are thanking for that as well. All right, it starts April 16th, and how long does it go in Area 4 where you're fishing, Tom?
It goes through October 15th, so we have a long season all summer long for lingcod.
So there you go, folks. If you want a long-term chance at lingcod and some great bottom fishing too, go to xlfishingcharters.com and book your trip. The website again is XL, spelled EXCEL, fishingcharters.com. That's xlfishingcharters.com. Tom, thanks for being with us the last couple months. It's been a lot of fun.
It sure has, John. Thank you so much.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and Excel Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not one, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Find out more about fishing with Excel Fishing Charters at xlfishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? It's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great content you need to have to be successful. Pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. Welcome back to America Outdoors. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication that covers the fishing scene, the hunting scene, and the outdoors adventure scene throughout the great state of California. Look for a copy at a newsstand near you. Speaking of California, we're taking you right to the border of California and Nevada. That's where you're going to find one of the most popular and beautiful lakes in the country, Lake Tahoe. Most people go there to do some boating or maybe do some swimming or do some gambling. But there's some very good fishing to be found there. With us here to tell you more about it is Captain Zach Gordon with Tahoe Sport Fishing. Zach, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, John. Thanks for having us.
Zach, the reason we picked Tahoe Sport Fishing is because your charter service is ranked #1 on TripAdvisor, and I know that doesn't come easy. Your charter company's been doing this for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been around since 1953 and been building our company since then. Now we have up to 9 Coast Guard certified vessels in our fleet.
Well, and your fleet's a little bit different than most freshwater charter boats that I'm familiar with. You captain a boat called the Prophet, and no, folks, he's not a money grubber. He's praying to the fish gods. That's what he's doing. It's spelled Prophet, and it's not a 6-pack boat with just 6 passengers. It's a little bigger than that, isn't it?
Yeah, my boat is certified for up to 33 passengers. But the unique thing with Tahoe Sport Fishing is we're not a cattle boat. So if you have a big private group and everybody wants to go together, we do that. But we do specialize in doing a lot of split group charters also. And we won't put more than 7 or 8 people on a boat at a time. That's the nice thing about having so many boats in the fleet. We can do 2 people or we can do up to 85 people if it's one group and they want to do a bunch of different boats. So it's pretty unique to freshwater fishing.
You know, Zach, I really like that. I like A, the versatility, and B, the fact that you're not fishing with, 30 of your closest friends. I've been on those boats before, and once you get those tangled lines going, it's not so much fun. So good to hear there's room to spread around and room to fish. Let's talk about the fish itself in Lake Tahoe. Several species, but the main one you're targeting is Mackinaw or lake trout, isn't it?
Yeah, so our year-round fishery is definitely the lake trout Mackinaw. We tell people they average about 4 to 6 pounds up here, and we have a unique way of doing it where we put the rods and reels in our customers' hands. So it's a method called mooching, which is a mixture between trolling and jigging. So you're actually working the bottom of Lake Tahoe, and it makes it so it's real hands-on, and you get the full experience. So we're fishing anywhere from sometimes 60 feet and sometimes down to 250 feet, just kind of depending on the season. But like just now, I just got in from a trip, and we got limits for 8 customers within 3 hours of our trip today, and then we took a nice little cruise of Emerald Bay.
Nice. So, Zach, I know that Mackinaw tend to really focus close to the bottom. What kind of lures are you using to catch them?
So we actually hand make all of our flashers, and we use a mooching setup with a minnow behind it. So we use live bait that we catch right here in the lake, and don't really use too many lures until it's kokanee season.
All right, well, now you've got me intrigued, because kokanee, as far as I'm concerned, Zach, they're probably the best tasting freshwater fish you're going to catch. Folks, if you're not familiar with kokanee, they're landlocked sockeye salmon. They taste incredible on the grill. How big do the kokanee get there on Lake Tahoe, and what is kokanee season there?
Well, we use a wedding ring setup and tip it with corn, and typically the last few years, every year is a little different, but the last few years they've been averaging anywhere from 12 to 16 inches, the 16-incher being a pretty nice kokanee for Tahoe. And it was just a few years ago we got the lake record that was being held for 40 years. So we finally broke that lake record on one of our boats and feel pretty good about that.
Well, I've got to ask you, how big was the lake record at Lake Tahoe for the kokanee?
So the lake record kokanee was 4 pounds, 10 ounce, and now we reset it at 5 pounds, 2 ounces. So it made it just by a hair, but it's a new record.
That is a monster. I mean a monster kokanee. And folks, 12 to 16-inch kokanee, those are some fine-eating fish. What's the limit on kokanee in Lake Tahoe?
So Lake Tahoe has a 5-fish limit, so you can have 5 kokanee. But with the lake trout, the Mackinaw, that's a 2-fish limit. So in that 5-fish limit, only 2 of which can be lake trout.
All right, so we've talked lake trout, we've talked kokanee, but there's a couple of other species of fish in there too. I understand you've got rainbow trout and some other trout as well.
Yeah, the rainbows and browns, the fishery on them, we get a lot of them in the springtime when we're fishing a little shallower, and they're a little further and fewer between. So when we do get them, we do our best to catch and release them unless the customer insists on taking them home. But there's some beautiful browns. There's nothing like bringing a German brown trout out of the lake. It's just beautiful.
I'll tell you what, Zach, I'm with you on this. I think German brown trout are probably my favorite fish. They are beautiful, and they tend to be pretty tough to catch. Going back to the kokanee, one thing I forgot to follow up on, what is kokanee season on Lake Tahoe for those that want to go for both Mackinaw and kokanee?
So I always tell people the best month for kokanee is typically August. And it varies every year. We start fishing for them in May sometimes, or sometimes in the middle of June or July. But most of the time, August is going to be your sure bet for kokanee. And it's one of my favorite times to fish also, because when we fish for kokanee, we put a couple rods down for the big Mackinaw underneath the kokanee. They're coming up to feed on them. And that's when you see a lot of your 20-plus pounders.
Well, it sounds like a fun day to me. How much does it cost to go fishing with you, and what kind of license do you need? Do you need a Nevada license, a California license, or will either one work?
Yeah, so either license will work on the lake. So if you do have a California or Nevada, we say to bring those. You can book a charter with Tahoe Sport Fishing on TahoeSportFishing.com. Our 5-hour morning trip is $120 per fisherman. And that's going to include all of your bait, tackle. In the morning, there's coffee, soda, water. Danish, muffins, some chips, stuff like that. And you're welcome to bring anything else that you might want other than bananas. We don't need any bananas on the boat.
Absolutely not.
And all your fish are also cleaned and bagged for you at the end of the trip for no extra fee. And we do have 3 different restaurants that we partner with that will cook the catch-up for you if you're on vacation and don't have means of cooking it up yourself.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach, it doesn't sound like it gets much better than that. Folks, again, think about this. For only $120, which is dirt cheap, you can go fishing on one of America's most beautiful lakes for Mackinac, for kokanee, and for trout, and you can get your catch at a local restaurant. You can take it home. Great deal to be had here. And by the way, even though Zach didn't say it, be sure to tip your captain and your deckhand. They work really hard for you, not just on these charters, but any charters. They deserve that extra for their effort. The website, again, TahoeSportFishing.com. That's TahoeSportFishing.com. It's the #1 rated fishing charter on Lake Tahoe, bordering Nevada and California, according to TripAdvisor, and they've got a lot of reviews to prove it. Zach, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
All right, we'll leave Lake Tahoe and head south to Baja, Mexico. Got a couple of fishing reports to share from there. The first one comes from Rancho Leonero on the East Cape, right there on the Sea of Cortez. They report as of April 8th that they're just waiting for things to bust open. Things are warming up, and they think the bite's going to happen any day. But so far, the marlin are tailing, but they're not interested yet. There are some exceptions, though. The ladyfish are schooling near shore if you want to cast for them. So are the Sierra. And the yellowfin tuna bite was good for a couple days last week off of Punta Pescadora, with fish averaging 10 to 15 pounds. Further north in Loretto, my friend Renee Ollinger with Baja Adventure Peninsula Tours, you'll find that on Facebook, posted several pictures over the last few days of happy clients going out in pangas and coming back with some really nice yellowtail. This is a member of the skipjack family, and they get pretty darn big. If you're after some good fishing, it looks like it's just about time to head down there, whether it be for yellowtail, whether it be for yellowfin tuna, or all sorts of other species in the Sea of Cortez. All right, a couple of websites again. #1, Rancho Leonero. You'll find that at rancholeonero.com, a long-established resort on the East Cape. And in Loretto, it's Baja Peninsula Adventure Tours. No website there, but you can find them on Facebook. Stay with us. We've got a whole bunch more of America Outdoors Radio coming your way. Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit HughesCraft.com.
The Deadfoot Arms Modified Cycle System with folding stock adapter is the only drop-in side folder for the AR-15 rifle that allows for full weapons function with the stock folded or deployed. 100% combat veteran-owned and operated, all products made in the USA. Contact Deadfoot Arms at 608-764-3176, 608-764-3176, or log on to deadfootarms.com to upgrade your rifle today. That's deadfootarms.com.
Skinner Sights is your source for accurate, durable, and beautiful peep sights for your rifles. These rugged sights have been developed during a lifetime of hunting and shooting in the outdoors. Our sights are handcrafted in Montana and sold for an affordable price. If you need a solid sighting system or innovative gun cases to carry your firearms, please visit us at SkinnerSights.com. That's SkinnerSights.com, from the company that aims to please.
DM Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops, or go to our website at dmbullardleather.com. That's dmbullardleather.com for the best leather you'll ever have.
Have you wondered where to get your bolt carrier groups and barrels for the AR-15? Maybe you're looking for a quality 9mm bolt carrier. Spinta Precision is your source. Whether you're plinking, target shooting, or running a 3-gun match, Spinta Precision has what you need. Every product is American-made by Patriots for Patriots. Visit us at spintaprecision.com. That's spintaprecision.com for top quality bolt carriers and barrels.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market, and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
You are back with America Outdoors Radio, and I am John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It is the monthly magazine that covers the firearms scene and shooting sports throughout North America. Look for it at a newsstand near you. We start off with news from the FLW College Bass Fishing Tournament Trail, where we learn the University of Tennessee Martin team of Matthew Lamustas of Hornbeak, Tennessee, and Dylan True of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, won the 3rd annual Yeti FLW College Fishing Open on Kentucky and Barkley Lakes last Saturday with a 2-day total of 10 bass weighing 44 pounds, 4 ounces. Very nice. The victory earned the club a $27,000 prize package, which includes a Ranger Z175 bass boat with a 90-horse Evinrude outboard, and the team also gets to fish in the national championship later this year. The winning team was one of 194 two-angler collegiate teams who competed on these 2 lakes bordering the states of Kentucky and Tennessee. And to give you an idea of how good the fishing was, the 20th place team caught over 30 pounds of bass. That's an average of 3 pounds apiece for a 10 bass stringer, which in many bass tournaments around the country will get you a much higher ranking than that. Want to find out more about the FLW College Tournament Circuit? Simply go to flwfishing.com, and if you've got a kid in college and you've got a bass boat to spare, encourage him or her to try out for their bass fishing team. Turning to seasonal news, it being spring and all, it's time for the snakes to come out, and that includes the poisonous ones like rattlesnakes, copperhead snakes, and water moccasins. I had a close call with a rattler last spring as I was bee-bopping along a trail and daydreaming instead of watching where I was walking, but I will tell you what. The so distinctive warning and rattle emitted by a 4-foot rattlesnake will get your attention in a hurry, and trust me, you will have no doubt what kind of trouble it's coming from when you hear it. So, besides paying attention to where you're walking, what else can you do to avoid getting snake bit this spring and summer? Here's some advice from the folks at the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. When it comes to do's and don'ts in snake country, first off, remember that venomous snakes are not confined to rural areas. That's right, they can be found in urban areas too, on riverbanks, in parks, and at golf courses. Snakes are sensitive to ambient temperature and will adjust their behavior accordingly. After a chilly evening, they'll raise their body temperature by basking in the sun mid-morning. That's why you tend to find them on rocks, roads, and trails. And when it's warm out during the day, you'll find these snakes are more active at dawn, dusk, or night. When you are walking around, wear sturdy boots and loose-fitting long pants. Don't go barefoot or wear sandals when you're in snake country. And remember, startled rattlesnakes don't always rattle before they strike. When you are hiking, stick to well-used trails. Avoid tall grass, weeds, and heavy underbrush where snakes may hide during the day. And don't step or put your hands where you can't see. Check out stumps or logs before sitting down and shake out those sleeping bags before use. You never know what might have crawled in there since you last slept in it. And if you go out and kill a snake, don't handle it right away because you know what? It can still inject venom. Finally, leash your dog when hiking in snake country. And remember, dogs are curious. They like to use their nose to investigate, and that can get them bit in a hurry. One other thing to consider is getting your dog enrolled in a rattlesnake avoidance class, where dogs will be exposed to rattlesnakes in a safe setting, and they won't want to touch them ever again. So there you are, some great tips to help you not get snake bit this spring and summer. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we're checking in with Clint Keary. He is the marketing director for Hughescraft. Hughescraft makes sturdy aluminum fishing boats, and they make them in a small town called Colville, Washington. It's located in northeast Washington. They've been making them there for a long, long time. And Clint, Hughescraft has got a big anniversary coming up, doesn't it?
We do, John. Thanks. The Hughes Marine Company was started by two brothers, Ralph and Bob Hughes, back in 1948. And this year, we'll be kicking off our 2018 model year late in the year. And that will give us, that'll bring us to our 70th year. So we've been around for a long time.
Well, Clint, kudos to you and Hughescraft for that milestone. There's not a whole lot of boat companies that can lay claim to the fact they've been making boats as long as Hughescraft has. Now, let's change gears a little bit here. I'd like to talk about, well, one of your boats. It's the 24-foot Ocean Pro, and it really looks to be the perfect boat for the angler or the boater, whether they're using it in Puget Sound in Washington State, maybe cruising the Inside Passage there in British Columbia, fishing in the waters of Southeast Alaska, or maybe taking some time to boat and fish around the Channel Islands in California.
Yeah, that's true. You know, for years, our best-selling ocean-going hull has been the Ocean Pro, and we've built it at a length of 22 feet. That boat, although it was one of our best sellers, we had some requests for our smaller boat, the Sea Runner, to get some improvements. And so we added a lot of great new features 2 years ago to the Sea Runner that went over so well. Everybody who had owned or wants to own a Hughescraft, but they want something bigger like the Ocean Pro, bigger than the Sea Runner, that is, said, well, why don't you add all of those great new features to the Ocean Pro? So we have. So for this year, improved cleaning and drainability, a roomier interior, better handling, and a roomier cockpit for easier driving has all been added to the Ocean Pro for this year. But I'll tell you, John, probably the most impressive thing about the new model with the Ocean Pro is the fact that we've gone to 24 feet in length. And that just makes it an enormous fishing platform. So not only have we added a lot of great new options to make the boat an easier fishing experience, we've added 2 feet to it just for the size and for the ability for it to handle some better water.
Clint, I can't help but notice that Hughescraft prides itself on listening to its customers and dealers. And I've got to ask, how do you go about doing that? Are you doing customer surveys with people who have bought your boats? Are you bringing dealers in for meetings to get feedback on how you do things better? Exactly how do you go about gathering input so you can turn around and make your boats better?
We do all that, John. I think it's one of the things that makes us probably a little bit ahead of the game when it comes to developing our product. We spend a lot of time speaking to our customers at boat shows, previous owners of our boats who have been fishing out of our boats for a long time. We get to meet with them in person. We make it a point to have even the owners of the company, Dave and Bill Hughes, who are still here, working at the factory every day. We have them even out at the boat shows getting input from our longtime fishermen that say, I love this Hughes craft, but you know what you could do to it to make it just that much better for the way I use this boat? That kind of direct feedback really helps us. So we end up building a boat that is really influenced by our customers, our current customers. So that was one of the reasons we added the length we did to the Ocean Pro. Folks were using it in waters and with a number of people on board that 2 more feet made sense. The other thing that we've added to that boat as well this year is several different new top options. So we used to just build a hard-top cabin-only version of that boat in the 22-foot version. Now we offer a full canvas top if you want to be able to make it a convertible. We also have a semi-rigid trailerable top you can leave up while you drive, but it is also removable.
Wow, that is impressive indeed. Clint, we've got to go. But where can we send folks to find out more about Hughes Craft boats and to find dealers where they can actually kick the tires, so to speak, and check them out? Would that be HughesCraft.com?
That's the easiest place to go to and the easiest to remember. It's just HughesCraft.com, and then there'll be a dealer finder at the top and the bottom of that webpage that you can click through to. It's based on a map, so you can find wherever you are in relation to your closest dealer and figure out where your best servicing dealer would be available. We sell everything through dealers that understand the fishing and the boating in their area, so they'll get really great service wherever they go.
That's HughesCraft.com, the place to go to find out more about the 24-foot Ocean Pro and other Hughes Craft boats. They've been making them for about 70 years. Clint, thanks for being with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
As usual, thanks, John.
We hope you enjoyed our show this week. If you didn't catch everything, you can catch us online through our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. We've got a Facebook page where we tend to post episodes too. That's also found at America Outdoors Radio. And don't forget to find us at WRVO Radio, an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming. You'll find that site at RenoViolaOutdoors.com. We've got to go, but I hope you have a very happy Easter and that you get to spend some time with family. And I hope you get to spend some time outside too. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next up on this Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, we wanted to let you know how the Puget Sound salmon fisheries are shaping up for this year. We'll start off with Marine Areas 9, that's Admiralty Inlet, and Marine Area 10, the Seattle-Bremerton area. These two areas are scheduled to be open from July 16th through August 15th. That's similar to last year. However, both areas have higher catch quotas that should provide better opportunity. When it comes to pink salmon, well, let's just say because of the projected low return of just 1.1 pinks, that's 20% of the 10-year average, there's going to be limited opportunities. As a matter of fact, don't expect any bonus bag limits for pinks in 2017. When it comes to sockeye, things are looking a little bit rosier. The forecast for the sockeye returning to Baker Lake is strong enough to allow for a lake fishery open mid-July through early September and a fishery on the Skagit River, which will be open June 16th through July 15th. The Skokomish River remains a problem as the state and the tribe still have issues in terms of who has possession of those waters and who can fish on them. For now, it's going to remain closed, and they're going to continue to negotiate. On Elliott Bay, anglers will be able to fish the bay from August 11th through the 13th, and they'll be able to retain Chinook as part of a 2-salmon daily limit. When the area reopens August 18th for fishing on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, anglers will be able to keep hatchery coho and pink salmon. Turning to Marine Areas 8-1 and 8-2, both of them will be open to fishing for hatchery Chinook in November. However, anglers in Marine Area 8-2 can fish from shore for hatchery coho August 1st through September 4th. No word on how many, if any, of the pinks that'll be mixed in with them they can keep. And Marine Area 7, commonly known as the San Juans. Anglers can fish for salmon in this area from July through September, and it will reopen for salmon fishing in January. Finally, the Mid and South Sound. Anglers will have a variety of opportunity for salmon fishing in these areas with openings for both Chinook and coho. So there you go. That's how things are lining up for Puget Sound fisheries this summer, this fall, here in 2017.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands so future generations can enjoy what we enjoy. Join the group that makes a difference. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.